Bethesda's new IP Starfield has a vast but rich universe filled with unique character encounters, lore, locations, and the occasional Easter egg. From the more well-known facts about the history of Earth to the lesser-known facts about the rarest weapons, resources, and armors, here are a list of 50 Starfield facts that I've gathered over a couple hundred hours of playtime. Let's start our fact list off with the elephant in the room. Or the lack thereof, actually. Starfield has no dogs, no cats, and no pets of any kind on any planet. And trust me, I've tried to find them. Turns out that big cuddly animal on Tau Ceti isn't one of them. According to the description of the Chocolate Labs food, canines have gone extinct, and it's presumed that all other animals have too after Earth became uninhabitable. There are currently 10 locations on Earth that the player, the spacefarer, can visit. One of the more unique locations being Cairo, where local caves can be found to have various pieces of equipment, items, bones, and glowing fungus. Cairo appears to be one of the only locations on Earth with life remaining after the catastrophic magnetosphere collapse in 2203. Those 10 locations on Earth all have unique snow globes that can be found in or around their POIs, similar to that of Fallout New Vegas. Unlike New Vegas, these snow globes cannot be sold for any special profit. There are also 2 other globes that can be found outside of Earth, on the moon Luna and on Mars. The snow globe on Mars can be found on top of the little rover that could, the Opportunity, one of Starfield's many Easter eggs. While visiting Mars, you might as well head on over to Cydonia to find the Face of Mars Easter egg too. This Easter egg can be found just below the main traders area, referencing the photo that the Mars NASA Viking orbiter took of what appears to be a face on the surface of Mars.
You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Mars.
There may be no cuddly canine companions in Starfield, but there are 37 different creatures located across the galaxy. These creatures can be found across different star systems, planets, and biomes, ranging from big Creed stalkers to little tiny thorn grazers. And if you're brave enough, anything can be a cuddly companion. Speaking of Starfield's many planets, there are 20 planetary traits to discover during your adventures, ranging from gravitational anomalies that you're probably used to seeing to extinction events where you can find the recent remains of animals, indicating that there was once life on the planet. The Constellation mission boards provide you with numerous quests, some of which include investigating planets with certain traits. They're not all too important or exciting, but they do buff out planet exploration a little. Among the various quests that the Constellation mission board grants you, there are around 120 main/side quests in total, including 19 main quests, 7 Freestar Ranger quests, 10 Ryujin Industry quests, 8 Crimson Fleet quests, 9 UC Vanguard quests, 4 companion missions, and around 63 side missions. Whew. This number would be a lot higher if you take into account the various activities the game offers. However, a lot of these are repeatable fetch quests that I'm not going to be counting. Excluding throwables, the Mag Sniper is currently the weapon with the highest single base damage, coming in at a devastating 223 damage. This is followed by the Varun Inflictor with a fair 151 base damage. The Mag Sniper is also the most expensive weapon with a base value of over 27,000 credits. Of course, these damage numbers depend on your skill level and the upgrades or modifications that the weapon has. In total, there are 64 unique weapons to collect during the course of the game, some of which are granted for completing quests or defeating enemies, others can be purchased at vendors and settlements. I'm only counting anything named here, such as the Unmitigated Violence, Boom Boom, and the Revenant, since they're one of a kind. Now, although the Starborn have unique armor sets, spaceships, and powers, as of right now at least, there are no unique Starborn ground weapons. For instance, the Unmitigated Violence weapon that you receive from the Hunter after beating them in the Lodge is a modification of the Orion weapon. On that note of becoming Starborn, the New Game Plus mode doesn't just award players with new story dialogue, a cool ship, and unique encounters. It also rewards a different unique armor set upon each completed run of the campaign. Currently, you can complete the campaign and enter New Game Plus as many times as you want, but the rewards cap out after the 10th New Game Plus run, your 11th total playthrough. The most powerful of all these armor sets being the Venator armor set. On screen is a comparison of both the first Starborn armor Astra and the final Starborn armor Venator. Completing the game 11 times should award you quite a lot of experience points. But how many do you need to fully max out your character? To unlock the Reach for the Stars achievement, which requires you to reach level 100, you would need a combined total of around 479,365 XP. Considering there are 82 perks in total, each with 4 upgrades, the player would need to reach level 328 in order to have enough skill points to max out their character. It's estimated that reaching level 328 requires around 9.4 million XP. That's a lot of grinding. Time
to die!
Time is relative in Starfield. For example, when going for a nap, there are two types of time shown, local time and universal time. Universal time is based on Earth's time. Sleeping for 1 hour on Earth will show both local and universal time increase by 1 hour together. Local time is relative to how long it takes your planet to orbit its local star. If it rotates the star twice as fast, then 1 hour local time will equate to only 30 minutes of universal time. Venus is a great example of this. Sleeping for 1 hour on Venus equals 100 hours of universal time. And resources are gathered based on universal time, meaning it's far faster for your outpost mining machines to gather resources while you sleep on a planet that rotates slower around its star. The base I have on Bezel 3 has a 1 to 60 rate of time, so every time I sleep for an hour, I get 60 hours worth of resources. Okay, so admittedly, this one took me way too long to realize, especially considering I did a laser-only challenge run. And a lot of you might already know this, but if you hold down right-click on the PC or LT on the Xbox, you can focus the laser cutter's beam to gather resources and deal damage faster. When I first started playing, I was running around hip-firing every resource and enemy in sight, wondering why it took so long. This might have been a more obvious fact, but it's definitely a game changer considering how often the laser cutter's used. Starfield has a multitude of Easter eggs, objectively the most popular few being references to Skyrim. Bethesda knew that a lot of players would be Skyrim fans and decided to put more than just one reference to one of the greatest games ever made. The first reference players will more than likely come across is found on the crippling combat skill. The first level of the skill doesn't seem too suspicious, but as you level it up, the skill image changes and the reference becomes more clear. If you don't know or haven't played Skyrim for whatever reason, a reason which I doubt is valid, this refers to Skyrim's arrow to the knee meme. Not only is there a reference in the skills tree, you can also come across random NPCs that say,
"I used to be an explorer too, but then No, never mind. It's a long story."
Well played, Bethesda. On the topic of Skyrim, there is one more notable but lesser known Easter egg, located in a place called a lock within the Crick system. Inside the control tower, there are prisoner logs with information on each prisoner and their status. One such prisoner is called Delvin Mallory, who, as we are all aware, was a high-ranking member of the Thieves Guild in Skyrim. A small Easter egg, but a nice little addition for you die-hard Skyrim fans out there. If I've given you any new information in this video so far, why not hit that subscribe button below and support the channel? I upload every second week with various different challenge videos and, as of right now, fact videos also. If you've not learned anything new just yet, then stay tuned because the obscure facts are coming. There are around 12 procedurally generated locations to be found on planets in Starfield, including abandoned gravity farms, caves, civilian outposts, forgotten mech graveyards, and a lot more. Each location is procedurally generated with regards to the location on the planet, however the layout inside most of these areas is the same. Among the many bonuses I just mentioned for completing the Starfield campaign, the alternate universes you go into are by far my favourite. So far, 10 different universes have been found, and I won't go through all of them, but 3 of my favourites include the one where the lodge is missing all of its regular members and is instead filled with children playing Explorer. The one where Korako is an adult and accuses you of letting her father, Sam Coe, die. Where you can argue that you didn't kill her father, or you can just straight up kill her too and loot the artifacts from her. And the one where Andrasia has joined House Faroon and killed all other Constellation members due to blasphemy. Really adds a twist to the story. Let me know which alternate universe you've come across and which is your favourite down below in the comments. Skill magazines grant permanent buffs and other bonuses in Starfield. You might have come across a few during your travels, or if you're a completionist like me, you hunted them down specifically. However, did you know that magazine bonuses are given in sequential order regardless of which one you pick up first? Some magazine types don't just have a standard buff. For instance, the first Constellation Guide magazine will reduce your fall damage by 5%, whereas the second will allow you to use less CO2 while moving when over-encumbered. If you use console commands to place all the magazines together, you can see that their descriptions change as you pick them up, and they will all start out with the same bonus. As such, you can't just skip around to get a specific bonus, you must collect enough of a magazine set to get the bonus that you want. Now, this is not the case with the Neon Knights magazines, as they provide specific recipes and can be found in specific locations. All in all, there are 17 different types of magazines with 105 to collect in total, making this a tough one for any of you who actually are completionists. Besides all 64 unique guns that you can acquire in Starfield, there are also other means of eviscerating your enemies. There are a total of 24 powers to collect from the gravitational anomalies found throughout the galaxy, each with their own unique, well, powers. Once you go through to your next New Game Plus playthrough, you're stripped of all your weapons, armors, credits, and items in general. However, your powers aren't removed and can even be upgraded further. Like everything else, the towers also reset in a new playthrough, and if you head back to each one and complete the minigame, instead of granting you a power, this upgrades your power to the next level. Meaning on your first New Game Plus playthrough, you can upgrade your powers to level 2. So for those of you out there who are complete masochists, you can keep doing this up until your powers reach the max level, which is level 10. That means in order to upgrade your powers to the max level, you need to go through 240 towers, complete 240 minigames, and witness a lot of loading screens. While we're doing the math, there are also 24 artifacts in total, one for each power. So along that journey of completing every New Game Plus, you also need to pick up a lot of artifacts. Let's get away from the math for a little bit and focus on something a bit more lighthearted. Bethesda has paid homage to a lot more than just Skyrim in this game. While traversing the Starfield cities, you can spot a poster for the Saul Symphony Orchestra, featuring conductor William Johns. A small nod to one of the greatest composers of all time. Now, we're all very aware of the major factions in Starfield, from the big United Colonies and Freestar Collective down to the Ebbside Strikers and even the Spacers, whose family you probably murdered in Tau Ceti. But did you know there are technically a lot more factions than that? By using the Help Faction 0 command, you can see the full list of what is considered a faction in the game. Personally, I don't consider the ship services vendor a faction of their own, nor do I think that the turrets in the game have their own faction and central government, but it is cool to see what the game considers a faction. On that note about factions, one of the most notorious factions out there for their lack of trading ethics is the Trade Authority. They are the largest and most successful interstellar mercantile organization in the settled systems. And while they claim to be entirely apolitical and involved in only legal trade and shipping, we all know they'd buy your firstborn if you were selling. The Trade Authority has been investigated and even brought to trial on one occasion, but funny enough, any witnesses of their wrongdoing always end up retracting their testimonies. I think that's enough politics for today, let's focus on a bit of history instead. In Starfield, planet Earth has been completely uninhabitable since the year 2203, when the planet's magnetosphere collapsed and the entire atmosphere dissipated into space. Of course, this didn't just happen out of the blue, or whatever color the sky was without an atmosphere. Instead, it was due to the invention and testing of the grav drive. Long before Earth had become uninhabitable, humans had moved to Mars and colonized. Then in 2156, they used their new inventions to colonize the Alpha Centauri system. 5 years after reaching Alpha Centauri, the colony of New Atlantis was founded on the planet Jemison and named the capital for the United Colonies. Not long after this, around 2189, independent colonies in the Cheyenne and Volai systems formed an alliance called the Freestar Collective. Don't worry, I don't intend on getting into the many wars that were fought between these two alliances in this video. Next up on today's episode of Starfield Facts is religion, everyone's favorite. 2 of these religions can be joined from the start of the game and provide the player with a chest full of items. Sanctum Universum can be joined by choosing the Raised Universal trait, and you can join the Enlightened by choosing the Raised Enlightened trait. There is also the Serpent's Embrace religious trait, but it doesn't provide any item chests. I feel sorry for any of you who started your first playthrough and chose one of these traits, because honestly, as of right now, the loot for them is horrible. You'd think with my channel being called Benightedness, I'd be all for the Enlightened, but honestly, it's just a couple of closing books. Why waste a trait on Raised Universal or Enlightened when you can have the Annoying Fan running around after you? Oh, sorry, did I say the Annoying Fan? I meant the Adoring Fan. This is another one of the many Elder Scrolls Easter eggs that Bethesda brought into Starfield, this time from Oblivion. The Adoring Fan is voiced by the same Craig Seckler as he was in Oblivion, shares the same physical appearance as in Oblivion, albeit with a few more pixels, and quite frankly has no moral compass. For those of you who want to run around slaughtering everyone in your path without being judged, he's your go-to guy. While fighting alongside your Adoring Fan, you have 3 main categories of weapons to choose from: ballistics, energy, and electromagnetic. Under each category, there are multiple different types of weapons, including pistols, rifles, shotguns, melee, and explosives. And then under each of these types, there are even more subtypes of weapons, such as beam pistols, ballistic pistols, and laser pistols. In total, as of right now, there are around 67 different weapon types. Of course, you can customize each weapon so that it's technically new with hundreds of combinations, if not thousands, but I think we've done enough math for today. Along with these categories and types, there are also 32 different weapon traits. These are categorized as 1 star, 2 star, or 3 star, with the rarity of a weapon determining how many modifiers it has. For instance, a golden rarity weapon will have 3 different modifiers, one from each tier. Similar to weapons, there are 4 main armor types: spacesuits, helmets, packs, and apparel. 58 spacesuits, 41 helmets, 30 packs, and 290 types of apparel, meaning a total of 419 items. Technically, 420 if you go naked. Of course, that number grows exponentially when you begin to add armor traits and modifications into the mix. There are currently 32 different armor modifications wrapped inside 3 different groups. These are the random modifications that appear on legendary items, for instance. You know, the ones that you spend hours trying to get by save scumming the Mantis armor? Now, with these, you can only equip 1 modification from each group, meaning you can have 9 modifications equipped in total, 3 on your spacesuit, 3 on your helmet, and 3 on your pack. Within the 120 quests that Starfield offers, there are 4 companion quests. In order to begin these quests, you must gain affinity with your companion by performing interactions or choosing dialogue options that they like. After completing all quests and reaching max affinity with your companions, you have the option to marry them. Barrett, Sam, Sarah, and Andrasia are the 4 companions that you can marry. Word of warning, just don't choose Sarah if you want to keep your sanity. Normally, when sleeping, you gain the well rested buff for plus 2% XP for 24 hours. However, when in a relationship with or married to a companion, this increases to plus 10% XP for 24 hours. Unsure where to go for some private time with your newly wedded companion? Well, there are 12 houses that the Spacefarer can own during the Starfield campaign, some of which are unlocked by completing quest lines and others must be bought. Paid houses include those on Aquila, Neon, New Atlantis, and Nesoi, where the Dream Home Trade House is located. Quest or free houses include 3 on New Atlantis, including the lodge in your parents' house, the key, your ship, and lastly your outposts. Too poor to afford a new mortgage in one of these locations? Well, luckily there are a total of 118 ships to choose from to tie you over. The least expensive of these being the Watchdog, which comes in just under 40,000 credits. If you're looking for something a bit more spacious and mobile than a house, then the Voyager 3 is the ship for you. Coming in at a whopping 656,000 credits, this is by far the most expensive ship that you can buy. Once you've spent your life savings on the dream ship, how far away can you go for your honeymoon? Grav drives are the ship part that determine how far you can grav jump in the game, and currently the highest you can get is one with 30 light years, which is more than plenty considering that 28 is the max distance you need for any single jump. There are 3 types of reactor classes in Starfield: Class A, B, and C. The reactor class in your ship limits the parts that you can add to it. You start with Class A reactors, allowing you to only place Class A parts onto your ships. These reactors have low power and are relatively inexpensive in comparison to the rest. Class B reactors are a step up, allowing you to equip both Class A and Class B parts onto your ship, while also providing more power, all at the cost of being a bit more expensive. Class C reactors are the best type in the game. Not only are these more expensive, they also require you to have higher perk levels to be able to add them to your ship. The highest base power reactor you can acquire is 40. What's a lovely ship to sleep with your partners in if you don't have the means to protect yourself? There are 5 different types of ship weapons to add while creating the perfect flying machine. These are laser, ballistic, missiles, particle beams, and electromagnetic weapons. Each type has their own specific advantages and use cases. Electromagnetic weapons don't deal a lot of damage, but they are very good for disabling a ship so that you can board it. Laser weapons deal a lot of damage to a ship's shields, and ballistic weapons deal a lot of damage to a ship's hull. Unfortunately, you can't equip one of each type on your ships. You may only assign 3 types to a ship at any given time. Speaking of the perfect flying machine, a random ship can be found when arriving in a planet's orbit called the Grandma. Grandmother will hail the Spacefarer with an invitation to board her ship and join her for a meal. While conversing with her, she can be asked about herself and will provide a free food item. The Spacefarer can optionally give Grandmother 1,000 credits to help her cover her traveling expenses, and in gratitude she will give a second food item. It turns out Grandmother has been retired since 2329 and has been traveling the settled systems in the Grandma ship. It was a lifelong dream that she regrets not being able to fulfill when she was younger, but better late than never. Her husband used to travel with her, but he unfortunately passed away. She prefers to eat with company, and so she invites anyone she encounters to join her for a meal, and enjoys meeting the variety of people who accept. Grandmother's visitors are often eccentric. She will recount that one was a nudist who apparently spent his entire time in his own ship naked because no one else could see him in space, and he didn't have the presence of mind to get dressed before he boarded her ship. It's a shame that visitor didn't know about the various different armor sets available. Per grandma. On that note, to go along with your multitude of armor sets, there are 39 different packs to find, each of which have one of 4 types: basic, balanced, power, or skip. Technically, there are only 38. I wasn't sure if the backpack your parents gave you counted here, but I'm saying it does, simply because you wear it on your back. Also, a final note on shipbuilding for this video. There are 19 different ship manufacturers, which can seem daunting considering there are 796 different parts from different vendors in total. And no, I'm not listing any of them. You thought I was finished with Skyrim Easter eggs, didn't you? Well, I've got one left, and this will definitely bring back your PTSD. Yes, that's what you think it is. The infamous Nirnroot has returned, and it can be found on certain hydroponic labs you come across. It's not labeled as Nirnroot, of course, but I'm counting this as a fact since we all know what it really is. From your basic iron ore to your more expensive and rare aldemite ore, there are 45 different types of resources in total to mine. The only planet where aldemite is currently located is Schrödinger 2 below Crix. Aldemite is used to create the aldemite drilling rig, which can be used in various crafting recipes. However, as I mentioned, it is highly valuable and can be a worthwhile investment to mass produce and sell. Emergency kits, med kits, and trauma packs are among the best aid items for healing quickly. However, there are actually 14 different types of aid to choose from and 41 unique aid items in total, each of which have their own advantages for combat, resource gathering, exploring, and even researching. If you found any of these facts specifically interesting, let me know down below in the comments and hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I upload these in the future. If you want any facts mentioned in future videos or any topics discussed, leave your findings in the comments section and I'll be sure to go over them in future videos. I really do hope you all enjoyed and thank you very much for watching. Until next time.